Welcome to the lovely chapel here at St. Peter Lutheran Church in school in Arlington Heights. For those of you I don't know, my name is Pastor Greiner, and Brian Booth and I are going to give you a vision update through a couple of quick videos based on the information we've been sharing with the congregation at our town hall meetings and getting ready for our voters meeting coming up on this Sunday, May 6th. Some of you may not have been here in the chapel for a while, if ever before, and it's a beautiful room and asset on our campus that we recently have kind of updated. Better lighting, heating, cooling, some technology that we can use for new member classes, for small breakout sessions for our school, for our choir that meets in this room as well. And today we're using it to shoot these videos for you. Well, in the next few days, our congregation is going to come together and we're going to have an opportunity to make some key decisions for the future of our ministry. One of the most important ones, we do this every year, is by choosing men and women from the congregation to serve on our governing board. And so that's the first thing we're going to be doing at our voters meeting on Sunday. This year, more than any time that I've been here at St. Peter, we've been blessed with an overabundance of men and women willing to stand for nominations. Twice as many as we needed to form a slate of candidates, which I've never seen before. And so to all of you who participated in the process, I just want to say thanks. We ended up with needing 3 individuals to fill the 3 spots that are going to be open after the end of this term. Brian O'Banion, Craig Grant, and Melissa Smith are reaching the end of their time, or their term, I should say, on the board. Brian O'Banion's the end of his 2nd term, so he won't be returning. Craig Grant is eligible for another term, as is Melissa, but Melissa is not going to be able to run again due to some personal obligations she has. And so the nominating committee of the board took all of the names that were submitted, again, twice as many as we needed, and then narrowed it down to 4 that fit the qualifications and best suit the needs of the board moving forward. And those are 4 individuals: Carolyn Dolezal, Craig Grant, Paul Hilgeman, and Tim Stokel. And as we get ready for the voters meeting on Sunday, you'll receive a picture and a little story, a biographical background for each of them. All 4 great, deeply rooted, committed members of the congregation with different gifts that they would bring to the board. All could serve well. And so we'd ask the voters to choose 3 from among those 4, and those 3 would be elected to fill those positions. What we also will be talking about at the congregational meeting is an update on our call process. Some of you have heard that Pastor Brian West has declined the invitation to come and join our team. And while that makes us sad, it also gives us an opportunity to rejoice in the work that he and his family are doing at Trinity in Clinton Township, Michigan, as well as some time to reflect on, okay, what are you teaching us, God, about what's next? And one of the things that we've seen to be really clear is that God has us on a path towards more intentional discipleship for children, youth, and adults. And it's in the area of adults in particular that we know we're lacking and haven't been able to do all that we want to with life groups and missional living and intentional next steps for people who are new to the congregation. And so we're going to be giving some thought and prayer into how we can address that while we continue in the process of discerning what's the pastoral support we need moving forward. And so our call committee will continue to evaluate that, working with the congregation, the board, and the staff to figure out what the right next step is for that. We also are in the process of searching for a successor candidate for our principal. We have a number of great candidates we've begun to interview, and over the course of the next 6 months or so, we'll continue to navigate those conversations and then present the candidates that call committee wants to recommend to the congregation later on this year, hoping then to call and receive a new principal in time for the subsequent school year, which would be 2019-2020. That then leads to the next thing that we're going to be doing is just celebrating some of the great stuff God has been doing here. And there are too many things to count. I'm not going to tell you all of them in this video, but a few things in particular that stand out. We've had some of the largest numbers of new members joining our church in the last 2 years that I can recall during my over 10 years here at St. Peter. And just am so thankful for the new people God is bringing into our community of faith who want to get connected to a vibrant community of faith that's focused on a full life in Christ. Another thing would be our partnership through Kids Hope USA with Westgate Elementary School here in Arlington Heights. I just got an email earlier this morning from the principal there, Brad Carter. I just reached out to him yesterday to see how he was doing. They had lost a child, a student at their school, who died suddenly last week. And he said to me, we are just so blessed by this partnership that God has forged between Westgate Elementary and St. Peter. And your people are amazing. We've been able to be present with them as they journey through grief. Our comfort dogs have been on campus twice already, and they're asking them to keep coming back. And this is just one way that we are loving and serving the neighbors in our community. And I just want to tell you, it's making an absolute difference. There's a whole lot more we're going to celebrate. You'll hear about it at our voters meeting if you're able to attend. But the next thing we're going to turn to in these videos is an update on how God is blessing us financially. And this year has been a season of favor and blessing, unlike I've seen during my time here. And I want to thank all of you, men and women, boys and girls, for your part in that. God is using you powerfully, and we're excited about what that brings for us in the future. Brian is going to share a little bit more about what that looks like.
So as Pastor mentioned, it's been just a season and a year of God's favor and blessing. As we look at the forecast for the remainder of this fiscal year, we're actually forecasting a surplus. And that's largely due to the strong giving of our church. So again, we thank you for the role that you've played in that. We're currently tracking about $75,000 over budget for our giving. And it looks like this will be the first time in 10 years that we'll reach the $2 million mark with our offerings. One factor as well was not filling the pastor position, although we would have loved to during the year, helped us financially in the end. We've been able to decrease spending across the board through things like looking at contracts, renegotiating insurance rates, and doing more repairs in-house with our facilities team. We've also received over $500,000 in this fiscal year from our St. Peter Lutheran Foundation. It was a great year for the foundation, for the markets, and we were blessed through that. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to our website, and there's a foundation page, so fulllifeinchrist.org/foundation, and it'll give you all the details about those grants, and you can learn more about the foundation. Looking ahead to next year, 18-19, we've been able to balance the budget, and we're budgeting a surplus of $26,000 before depreciation. There's several factors that got us to that point. The biggest one is strong tuition enrollment for this coming school year, especially in the early childhood department between PDO and full-day preschool. Currently, we have a wait list for both those programs, which is a good problem to have. We also still have the second full-time pastor included in the budget. As God continues to work there, we wanted to leave that in for the full year. We're budgeting for continued strong giving from our church, and we've been able to create an operational endowment through our foundation, which the earnings from this fund will support our annual operating budget on an ongoing basis. So we're excited about that. We have some increased staffing and benefits costs due to filling some new positions of key needs that we still have. There's a few school staffing changes that are still being worked out and made based on enrollment for next year. And within this budget, we were able to include a 2% cost of living increase for all of our staff. As far as our cash position, being able to pay our bills throughout some of the lean summer months, in previous years we've had to access a line of credit, and we won't need to do that this year. So overall, we're in a great season of God's favor and blessing, and again, we're thankful for your role within that.